Well, don't count on a Missouri game not being non-interesting. It's going to always be. So.
Yeah. Just what do you think? I know first time losing back-to-back games going into this one, and ultimately come out with a win.
Yeah, I didn't like that feeling very much. I liked the fourth quarter's my fault. I got them really too passive. I got playing the number of possessions left, and man, we got stagnant. We stopped pushing it, and then they got hot, which they do. So, but ultimately the math worked out because they ran out of possessions. So. But it's going to be entertaining. We're going to keep that near 6,000 people in their seats till the last little bit. A great crowd for us this late in the year and on a Sunday at 3. So I'm glad we make it interesting. It would be my doctor would probably appreciate it if we would hold on to those leads that we have. But any way you can get them in this league, man. You don't try to take pictures. There's only a little bit of room in that win column, so you better take them. Yeah. She did. And plus 15 for the game. That talks to how she guarded. That talks to how she moved the ball. We took her very slowly with her. She worked hard the last 2 days. It's not easy to adjust to that mask. It fogs up and it feels funny. But I've pretty much figured out there's just not a whole lot that bothers that kid. She was ready to step up and be ready when her teammates needed her, and she obviously did.
Yeah, and then you look at it, just by quarter, the second and the fourth kind of cancel out, and the difference was Marion in the third. Just what do you think of y'all finding her and her scoring?
Well, she was doing a really good job of rolling, and we were finding her. She was just getting a little bit off balance. So we said, hey, passers, just hold it an extra count. Let her get squared up and show you her hands and her numbers. And I thought from that point on, those 3 straight moves, that's what opened up some of those driving lanes, and she is the quietest kid. But when she says, Coach, I think I can get open, you listen to her, and she was doing a great job with that. And then did a good job delivering the ball in there. That's, 14 assists is pretty high for us. We're not a really high rate assist team, but because we did throw it in there a few times, that got us a few more than normal. Yeah, everything was real tangible. It wasn't a lot of screaming and yelling. It was just a point of, we've been here before. Unfortunately, we know what this feels like. Let's not wait till the third quarter to turn this on. Let's start right now. And there was just a lot of head nodding. That group was, again, they knew what to fix. Like Coach Todd got in there and said a couple things defensively. I got in there and said a couple things offensively. And then, bam, they went out and started doing them. We are continuing to be baffled by why that takes us getting down. I'm just going to start telling them in the locker room, writing on the board, we're down 6-0 or 9-0 or whatever. But Missouri can do that to you. I mean, they're spurty. That 25-11 to 8-24. I know Robin she'll be talking about that from her standpoint. But every mistake you make, if you lean, and I'm not even talking about move your feet. I'm talking if you lean the wrong way, they pop out there and catch and shoot. And they're all such good shooters. They're all such good passers. And they make you wrong every time you make a mistake.
What can you tell us about how long Talia's been gone and when she might
Yeah,
return?
it'll be a day-to-day thing with it. It's a serious family matter that we don't take lightly, and she's in our thoughts and needs to be in everybody's thoughts, and we'll just update daily. That's kind of what we've gotten to with this group, with this team. So we'll keep checking in with her and making sure whenever the time comes, we'll be able to get her back.
I know you talked about all the season. Nothing really phases you. Were you surprised even just the first half you come in and knocks off for 11 points?
I was surprised this summer in Croatia when she did it. Not anymore. When she did it that first time we played and first time her first, whether it was her first exhibition game or first practice or first, not anymore, And I think it's a great place to live. I think a lot of kids should really take some lessons from her on staying even. She's never too high. She's never too low. She's a pleaser. Like every time I look at her, if I'm disappointed, I snap out of it pretty quick because I know she wants to please us and her teammates more than anybody. So I've stopped being surprised or I've stopped being shocked. I'm still surprised by it because it's not easy to go to the Mask, and it's not easy to be out and have your timing gone for 3 or 4 games and get your legs back under. But I think that's just the type of kid that her mom has raised and her family, and it's fun to see. It's something I hope a lot of kids can look at and use her for an example.
We asked her, she thought maybe she sneaked up on the 3 a little bit. She thought so. Is that possible?
Well, I'm sure if that was the question you asked her, she probably went, well, maybe. I don't know. Maybe. Yeah, I mean, sure. Yeah, just like with Frank, with us, we didn't know whether she would play or not play. You look out in warm-ups. So, yeah, they might not have planned on having a deadly three-point shooter in the corner on some of those drives or in some of those actions. Or, I'm sure they had been spending a lot of their time preparing on, keeping Talia out of the paint and being there on the catch with her. So, I'm sure Robin probably just said, hey, just now guard Keats like we prepared for. But, again, Keats just, a plus 15 for that. The job that Carly Johnson does is never fully appreciated until you get back and watch the film. She played 4 positions tonight again. Really valuable 27 minutes. Like I said, it doesn't necessarily show up in the stats, but those minutes were big, as were Emery's when Marion got a little bit winded. Yeah, we tried really hard at Tennessee. I went back and watched the film, and I could find a few clips that we could have tried harder. But there's sometimes if the rebound's at 9.5 feet, Tamari Key is going to get it before we do. And some of those things, they add up. But playing at home is a big difference for us. That crowd was amazing. I do think it's partly matchup based, but this is also a matchup based. We've lost in the past. Like, we've gotten beat on the boards. Counting on Saylor for 10 rebounds is 10 defensive rebounds is always dangerous, but she just keeps delivering, So our other kids' numbers would be a lot higher, I think, but she nabs up so many of them. So another double-double there. And, when we don't turn it over, we turned it over 12 times total, but I think 5 or 6 of those were in the last little bit. That gives us a chance. Yeah.
It feels like kind of similar to last year where there's 2 teams in the top 25 and then the conference made a statement in the postseason. Do you feel like same type of things be happening?
I've been in a lot of different leagues. That's my pet peeve when every coach gets up here and says their league's the best. Our league's one of the best. It's what I'll always tell you. And somebody asked me about it the other day, and I've coached in many of the other ones. The difference is we're going to have a 5-win team play on Wednesday of the SEC tournament. That's not going to happen anywhere else. There's teams in some leagues that still have 0 or 1. Okay? So look to the bottom. That's where you live. And that's how you live, knowing that there is not a night that you can't be at your best and not expect a game. It doesn't matter. They had game day in South Carolina. That's 1 versus 14, right? And that was they were ahead until the 3rd or 4th quarter when I had to start working. And I think that's a perfect example, and I don't get it as near as into it as I used to because I don't understand it. I don't understand the net. I used to understand the RPI really well, and I don't understand the net anymore. And I don't envy Dorita's job that they're going to have to do here in a couple weeks. But if we're doing what we always have said, and we're using our eyes, and we're looking at the eye test of what some teams in this league can do, I know the person that has the most viewers has a lot of SEC teams on the bubble. A lot of us play each other the next couple weeks, so it's going to work itself out. It always does. But I can assure you that I feel like if you matched up, if there was like a challenge at the end of the year where 1 played 1 and 2 played 2 and 3 played 3 and 14 played 14, I guarantee you those teams at the bottom of our league would have a hefty win total because there is not a night that somebody at the bottom can't beat somebody at the top, and certainly in the middle, They did. Yeah.
What does it mean to, Black History Month and being a coach?
Well, we had a panel, and something was said really interesting to me, and well, there was a lot of good stuff that was said, but we had Chancellor Robinson came and spoke to us, and that's the difference. Like, how many schools will the chancellor come down and talk to your team and your student athletes? And We had business leaders. We had Talia Brooks and Tracy Deffabaugh and our new leader on campus. And he said, and that was what resonated with me, is he's ready for the time when we don't just have a month, when we don't just wear this shirt this week or this game or this month. And I'm proud because I went to school here, and I've seen this place change. I've seen Fayetteville change for the better. And anything that we can do to continue to make it to where we don't necessarily – we celebrate it whenever we say to celebrate, whenever that happens. But we get to that point where every day, every month, every week we could celebrate. And that's what I want our team to hear, and that's something that we're going to keep talking about a lot.